Lou Guzzi here inside the Teaching Academy here at beautiful Tallamore Country Club with our man Patrick.
How you doing, folks?
And we are going to talk today about really good footwork. And Patrick, a lot of people always have questions when they come inside the building about how their feet are supposed to work. And I am definitely big time into the footwork working a certain way. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about all of you folks, but I definitely have a lot of questions about it. I see all kinds of different approaches to it on the tour even, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's some similarities between some, and then there's others who are completely different than some of the things that you've taught me that I feel makes a little bit more sense, at least for what you've shown me. You know?
Yeah, what happens to a lot of people that instinctively play trying to lift the ball up in the air, their footwork's not that great because as they're coming into the ball, they have the desire to lift, and in the process of trying to lift the ball up into the air, they also lift their heels off the ground and then they're on their toes.
Yeah.
We want to have good rotation through our swing, and as we're hitting the ball and we're moving down and through, with my right leg, I want my right knee to work towards my left knee as I'm rotating, and I want to feel my feet on the ground, actually grabbing the ground as I'm hitting the shot.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about ground force, right?
Yep.
So is that kind of along the lines of what you're talking about, that grabbing sensation?
Well, not necessarily, because what can happen is a lot of tour players and a lot of players in general, they'll get set up, and at the top of the swing, they'll pressure the ground as they shift and move forward, so they drive into the ground to then come back up off the ground to get maximum power.
Yeah.
Absolutely a wonderful way to play golf. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm definitely a big fan of sitting into the ground and feeling the ground, but then rotating and then having my feet work down and through a different way. So one of the things you can do is if you go online and you just start researching some of these swings at impact, Jason Duffner, Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, right? Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus. You look at Jack Nicklaus in the 60s, you'd be surprised. At impact with an iron, they're all at impact with their right foot down and in. I mean, half of them have their heel right on the ground. Boo Weekley, fabulous ball striker, flat-footed at impact.
Oh, yeah.
So many of them
Yeah.
flat-footed at impact, really into the ground. Now, Hogan had an extra spike on his shoe.
Yeah,
Right
and
foot.
You told me that before. Now, obviously, I think I know the answer to that, but I never knew that until you told me that. So, tell the folks about that and what that did for him, how that served him.
Well, it's interesting. In the Hogan Mystique, it's a beautiful book, big book. Ken Venturi's in there. Now, Ken Venturi played a lot of golf with Hogan, and he talked about how Hogan would hit. He was really a stickler on footwork, and Hogan would hit a lot of balls flat-footed so that he could feel the ground. He put the extra spike in his shoe on his right foot, and this way he could really drive into the ball and of course we know his leg work was incredibly aggressive.
Yes.
And he rotated really hard, and he felt that extra spike was going to help him to support his swing.
It's interesting.
So now with the flat-footed swing, which feels very unusual to a lot of people, we'll have our students hit balls, little half swings, flat-footed. And we have beautiful St. Andrews in the background for this. So
Can you show us a couple shots,
I'm
Coach?
going to show you that, and I'm going to give the folks a couple of drills here for footwork, and we'll talk
Yeah,
a little bit
absolutely.
more about what's going on here.
Okay.
So I'm going to hit half a swing, and see how the foot's down and in, right? I'm trying to keep it down and in and roll it without coming up off it. I want to really feel the ground. On the next one, I'm actually going to hit this one even more flat-footed as we get set up. Very flat-footed, Patrick, on that one.
Yeah.
And you can see a nice solid shot.
Yep.
You know, beautiful trajectory, down and in again. So what happens when you hit flat-footed? Stability,
Yeah.
right off the bat, stability. When you're trying to hit a shot, if you're rotating your body properly, you're going to keep your feet on the ground, and as you go through, your right knee works toward your left for the right-handed players. Your right foot rolls in. We actually call that the right foot roll. And consciously think about it. And you can make a lot of practice swings training this in. And as you're rotating in and through, if you look at your left foot, the left toe comes up in the air. The pressure as I'm transferring the weight starts to move to the outside of the foot towards the heel.
Yeah.
So like you'll see Mickelson, he'll hit and then his shoe actually spins because he's working into the heel so much. I like to see the feet, for the most part, really staying stable as you go down and through. So the flat-footed swing is fabulous. in slow motion as I'm coming into the ball, impact. And you just kind of feel this. The right foot rolls in. I'm trying to keep this angle as long as I can, because the longer I can keep that right foot rolling that angle, the more I'll stay in the golf shot, right? I don't want the heel to work out towards the ball because it's going to throw my torso your way.
So your body's coming towards the ball, which causes all kinds of other issues.
Yeah, a little over the top swing.
It seems to me
pulls.
too that drill, hitting balls with that, but that also seems to me, would you recommend, especially in the wintertime, people can actually do that in the mirror and work on just that and do that slow motion move that you just showed us.
That's exactly right. So one of the things they can do also is when they go to hit balls, they don't necessarily have to make a full swing. With the flat-footed swing, you're really trying to keep your feet on the ground, so you can only go maybe 50% back and 50% through.
Okay.
Then as you go towards the finish position, as I'm moving forward and through, impact, continue, I'm going to roll in, and as the hip and the torso start to turn, that's going to move the heel up into the air.
Yeah.
You're going to feel all this pressure on the outside of your left foot. So a lot of students come in and they go, is it right that I feel this weight going to the outside of the foot, and, the heel's kind of coming up, or the toes kind of coming up, and the bottom of the shoe is starting to leave the ground? I'm like, yeah, to a certain point, that's okay. The more stability we have as we're going through the shot, the better the shot's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we don't want to get too much into it, but maintaining your spine angle through the shot is a direct result of you with that right foot roll, or this drill
helps,
that you're showing, right?
So there's a shot where I came more up on it. See how there's a little bit of an angle to it?
Yep.
You'll see a lot of tour players when they hit, making these three-quarter swings where they still keep a slight angle to the back foot. I'm not really interested in hitting and then having the heel work out towards the ball, because now I'm out of balance.
Yeah.
So the foot can be, in the end, up in the air straight, and you can kind of look at it or check it with your video, or slightly on an angle back. If you look at that wonderful photograph from Murray and Hogan on 18, his right foot is just angled back a little bit, and you can even see the extra spike.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, interesting. I've looked at that picture a million times, and I've never noticed that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah,
I've also noticed, too, on shorter shots, wedge shots into the green, a lot of guys on tour, they don't finish all the way through, and they kind of hold it off, and they're right there with that foot, that position that you were just showing.
Yeah, so I'll hit a couple here, smaller swings. This might go into the water because of where we're at. Might just get over it. See that down and in? So that felt terrific.
Yeah.
And I felt the ground the whole time. I'm still going to feel, in the transition, I'm still going to feel this move down, that sit position. Then rotating in, right knee working towards the left toe starts to go up in the air. And you just practice that motion over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see another one. Shot there.
Yeah. So pretty simple.
And the one thing I noticed it also does, it maintains that distance of your body, the pelvis area, between your body and the pelvis area and the ball. You're not coming closer to the ball. You're not lunging closer to the ball, right? That position that you've showed me, almost where you have something like a wall against you, and you don't want to separate from that wall as you're swinging.
So that would be early extension if you're coming into it.
Yeah.
So what Patrick's talking about is we're hitting the shot if we're rotating. See, a lot of the early extension that we see in swings comes from as you're coming in to hit, you're outside in, and you now have to get out of the way for your arms to swing, or you're coming from the inside and you feel like lifting, and either way you're losing your posture. So once we're set up, as we're going through, we're trying to maintain these angles as best we can. And Patrick talked about kind of putting your tush on a wall. We used to actually put our tush on a chair, and then we would just try to stay in our posture at least 3/4 of the way through the swing. See the angle here? Then as we finish, we can get back up on top of our feet. Yeah. Right foot roll, good footwork. And then there's the shot.
Beautiful.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. So to summarize, what are one or two or maybe three key points that you want the folks to take away from this video that they can work on their own when they get to the practice range and start to really try and, you know, drill this into their body and groove those mechanics and get that muscle memory.
Yeah, well, one of the things you can do is, again, you know, we have so many people that when they go to hit, they're coming down and getting on their toes. I do not want to hit a golf ball on my toes.
Right.
So you can take your feet and curl your toes up inside your shoe. So you get set up to hit. I'll do it in a practice swing. And then curl your toes up. Just, it's not lifting your feet off the ground. It's curling your toes up inside your shoes. Maintaining the curl inside your shoes while you make the swing, and then that's going to keep you more aware of where your feet need to be when you're swinging and keep you off your toes. So I'm going to get set up, curl the toes up, make the swing, and just feel that. It's a little uncomfortable, but it makes you really aware of what's going on. It helps to get you off your toes as you're coming into the ball.
I like that.
Isn't
You
that
know,
cool?
and it also kind of translates, as you were saying, that one of the things that, you know, I like to run, and sometimes when I run, I like to try and land on the balls of my feet. It helps with my balance. It protects my knees. And what I do is I focus on my toes being up. So that promotes that. I'm aware of how my feet are striking the ground.
Yep.
It's almost like that ground force that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Very similar, right?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, in the end, like, what do you do? What's correct? So students come in, they bring pictures in from maybe a swing sequence of somebody that's on their toes and their heels are way off the ground and they're great players. Okay, let's go see some other great players and how many of them work their feet this way versus having their heels up and they're on their toes. Most are down and in. Most of these great ball strikers on the men's and the women's tour have really good footwork.
Yeah.
So, you know, I look at that and I go, I always did that as a student of the game as well. I was like, okay, well, let me see the best players in the world that have lasted the longest with their golf swings and their consistency, and what are they doing?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think it goes to show, you know, you look at a bunch of the best players and you pick the majority of, but there's always that outlier, someone like a Jim Furyk. I mean, his swing was obviously very different than most other people on the tour, but it worked for him.
Yep.
But that's not something that you would encourage your students to emulate.
No, I mean, everybody's going to have their own look. I get that.
right.
But, you know, everybody has to swing within certain parameters, I guess. You know, take a look at Freddie Couples, who has an unusual swing. Beautiful tempo, but it's Freddie Couples' golf swing. Nobody's going to look like Freddie swinging, but at impact, though, his right foot's totally down on the ground.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun watching, taking a look out there online and doing a little bit of exploring and seeing, you know, what they look like at impact, or playing some videos in slow motion and just seeing how they come through the ball. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit one in slow motion, thinking about my footwork and what I want to do. A little squat, coming back in, right foot roll. I topped that. And then going through.
Slow motion, what are you going to do?
Yep, so that was real slow motion. So you just can feel that.
Yep.
Spend time just thinking about
Really
it.
ingraining that in there.
Yeah, because if I was going to do it left-handed, I'd start to kind of train this in. And just reverse it. And just train it in.
It would also seem to me, too, with this right foot roll, that flat foot drill that you were talking about and ingraining that in your body, when you look at some of the other swings and that torque that they're putting, I would think this would be a little bit easier on your body, right? So for maybe older players, people with back problems.
Yeah. Well, you'll see Rory will be flat-footed with an iron. Now, here's the thing: as you're doing your research, you might see, obviously, you know, you're like, okay, Coach Guzzi said go check out these swings, and then you see them at impact with the driver or a 3-wood, and you'll see more of this, and they might be here.
Yeah.
Rarely, though, will they be on their toes. You'll probably still see the left foot working the right way, but they're hitting the driver. So there's just so much more clubhead speed in that. And these same players, when they're hitting their irons, you know, probably 7 through wedge, they're right there, down and in.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep. So you got good footwork.